After a day of wild speculation and rumour, the Taoiseach's indictment of his former Attorney-General dropped a bombshell into a crowded Dáil chamber. Mr Reynolds told the House that the new attorney, Owen Fitzsimons, had told him on Monday that Father Smith's case was not the first to be considered under the provisions of the Extradition Act. This had been the reason given by Harry Whelehan for the delay in dealing with the Smith extradition warrants. There had, however, been a previous and similar case in 1992.
I would have expected that the most senior legal officer of the state would have known of the Duggan case of 1992, considering that he himself cleared the warrants for endorsement by the Garda Commissioner and would have made this information known to me and the government. This information was not made known to me and the government by the former Attorney-General. Had my colleagues and I been aware of these facts last week, we would not have proposed or supported the nomination of Harry Whelehan as President of the High Court.
Mr Reynolds said he had been informed that the former Attorney-General had forgotten about the Duggan case when he had sent him his report on the Smith case.
However, I would also have to say that in my view the report was seriously misleading to the House on this issue. If the former Attorney-General was still in office, he would have responsibility as Attorney-General for this report. His responsibility would be particularly grave, as he personally had cleared the warrants in the Duggan case, and his signature is on the relevant submission. If the former Attorney-General was still the holder of that office, he would, in my view, in the circumstances, have had no option but to resign.
The Taoiseach accepted that the Taoiseach's reservation about Mr Whelehan's appointment had been well-founded. He regretted his appointment to the High Court. But the terminal damage to his government came when he revealed that he knew about the Duggan case on Monday.
Another issue has also arisen. The Attorney-General, in the course of an exposition on various aspects of the case, referred to, in my presence on Monday, to the existence of a previous case prior to the Smith case, the Duggan case, as we have already spoken about, which had involved the consideration of the lapse of time and of the same provision that arose in the Smith case under the 1965 Extradition Act, inserted by the 87 Act by way of amendment by Deputy Sean Barrett, and left some technical legal papers with my private secretary on the matter. I was not supplied with speaking material to insert that into my speech referring to this particular point.
The opposition's onslaught on the Taoiseach and the government was spearheaded by the Fine Gael leader, John Bruton.
The Taoiseach has just engaged in a merciless destruction of the reputations of other people in a desperate attempt to save his own skin. Instead,
Mr Bruton then went on to challenge the Taoiseach to take a certain course of action.
I ask the question, why will the man who insisted on appointing Mr Whelehan as President of the High Court not resign too? If the Taoiseach had any honour or dignity, he would have come into this House and announced his resignation. Instead, he chose to do something which I believe is constitutionally extremely dangerous.
In his dramatic speech, the Taoiseach, Mr Spring, revealed that the information about the Duggan case had been given to him early this morning. He was told then that the Taoiseach and the Minister for Justice were satisfied that they'd been seriously misled by Harry Whelehan. They would say that in the Dáil. On foot of those assurances, he said, he had been prepared to support the government in the confidence debate.
However, following all these discussions, I decided to speak to the present Attorney-General himself about these issues in order to clarify aspects of the case that I have just referred to. I asked the Attorney if he would inform me when he advised the Taoiseach about these matters. He told me he had done so on Monday, that is to say, before the Taoiseach made his statement to the House yesterday.
Mr Spring said the Taoiseach should have included the information about the Duggan case in his speech yesterday.
Having made this discovery, I went with some of my colleagues to meet the Taoiseach shortly before noon today. I outlined to the Taoiseach what I had discovered and the implications of that discovery. Before concluding Ceann Comhairle, on a personal basis, I want to thank my government colleagues for their efforts and their dedicated work in achieving our objectives outlined in the programme for government, and I wish each of them well, and their families who suffer an awful lot in the business of politics and in public life. I wish them well for the future. For the reasons I have outlined, I believe it will be obvious to the House that neither I nor any of my colleagues can vote confidence in the government at the conclusion of this debate. All of my Labour colleagues in Cabinet and all of the junior ministers who are members of the Labour Party will resign from their offices before this vote is taken. I believe the House is entitled to nothing less from us.